thing I want to talk about, we've spoken a lot about all these different things we can do. But a key part of any compliance standard is making sure that we are remaining compliant. It's not just a box tick once a year. We don't just put it in, say, great, we've had our audit, put that on the shelf for the next year, dust it off a couple of months before the audit round comes around again. It's not how this works. So we need to monitor our environment, and some of that will be more longer term monitoring. So are the controls that are mapped to things like ISO, are they still running and are they active? There will also, though, be certain controls and alerts that are more dynamic. So things like threats that may be emerging in your environment. And if we're using the various tools in Azure and in 365, we can actually stay more on top of that. So we have things in 365 like Compliance Manager and Endpoint Manager. So what this looks at is all those controls that we've implemented that I've touched on already. And then this can report through on how compliant we are, or do we have any gaps? And this will all feed as well off of those standards templates. So those templates will give us the controls we need to put in place, and we can then have visibility via dashboards of, are the devices still compliant? Are our user accounts? Is our data activity? Is there any activity going on in our Azure environment, in our virtual machines, for example, that is of concern? There's various different dashboards and tools available for that. And then bringing that all together at the end, we also have Microsoft Sentinel, which is our SIEM source solution. I'm going to get into that in a bit more in a moment. So as you can see, just a quick snapshot of a few of these sort of dashboards and the sort of information that we get from our Microsoft environment. So this is key to helping maintain our compliance, but also maintain our security. From the left here, I've got an example of a report from Endpoint Manager. And in this demo environment, it's pointing to me that I've had an installation failure on an application. I've got 42 devices that have fallen out of compliance. So for some reason, they are breaching one of our compliance policies that we have in place, one or more. We could drill in further in this. And then there's some general notes here around our account, our service, that's all running okay. So instantly here, I've got some live data coming to me that I can go and look at these devices and say, why are these devices not in compliance? Is there an update that's failed on them for some reason? Have they tried to run some software they shouldn't, or whatever it may be? So it gives us a lot more there. Moving over to the middle, we've actually got some from our example here, we can actually show the sorts of alerts we may get on things like our email traffic. So this is scanning Exchange Online, and this is picking up on email messages that may potentially contain malicious activity, whether that's a link or something else as well. Again, there's various controls around how we can block this, but this is really good for monitoring what's coming through your environment. And we then have threat analytics as well. So again, this is now looking at our environments, and this is looking at the different threats that could be coming to play. So this one's highlighting different some zero-day exploits on Exchange server that we've actually resolved that alert. That's a high impact. And we've also got some alerts based around ransomware. I've literally taken here, obviously, a very small snapshot of this, but it hopefully gives you a flavour of the amount of different alerts and information we can get. So there's different dashboards, the different compliance centres for these different areas, and you can use all of those by going into them and take advantage of them. They feed off those compliance controls that you've set up in Azure in 365, and we can then surface that through to these portals. We can go a step further, though, using the Microsoft Sentinel product. So the Sentinel is a SIEM source solution, SIEM being security information and event management, and then on is security orchestration, automation and response. So Sentinel sits above these other platforms that I mentioned, and it can ingest feeds from various cloud and on-premise environments, which can then interrogate these alerts. So collecting, it will securely collect this data, these alerts across your enterprise. Not just Microsoft either. Sentinel can receive telemetry from AWS, from Google Cloud, and many others as well. So this is not just a Microsoft thing and you have to go and do the same thing somewhere else. We can actually use Sentinel to monitor across our whole environments. We utilize it very heavily in-house. We've got it running on our Microsoft environments, but other cloud providers, we've got it performing feeds from things like our firewalls and our offices, so any alerts coming through there. So we really bring all these different points of telemetry and we bring them into that central location. And Sentinel then does more with that. So it receives this telemetry, these alerts, and then it starts detecting threats through that. And that's using a variety of different tools within the other parts of the platforms, as well as the alerts coming in and within the intelligence in Sentinel. So it starts then building up these alerts, and it can help us investigate those alerts. So as I touched on earlier, we can actually drill deeper into an alert, get a lot more information about where it's occurred, why the alert has been thrown up, what risk it's relating to, and so on. So then we can use all that information to actually respond to that alert. And we can do an element of that automatically. There's a lot of automation available, or we can go in and actually deal with it more manually. Again, it's configurable. We can set a lot of different things up there. So just as an example here, this is the sort of thing that we would get in Sentinel. So we would actually get these alerts coming in from all these different connectors, from these different areas, and we can then, as I say, apply either more automatic responses, or we can actually pick them up and take action on them. We can even take this data from Sentinel, take these alerts, and we can even feed that into other systems as well. So for our managed service customers, we have managed services where we can take this sort of data and raise it in our incident management system, which is the same system we use if you were to phone us and raise a ticket, but it can automatically push it into that, so it immediately comes into the engineer's high priority queue, so it gets visibility straight away as a logged incident for you, and then we can take action on it straight away within that managed service contract and the response times in it. So not only is it a powerful tool on its own, but it can also be used then to feed other things as well, should that be something you'd need. So Sentinel is a really good way of bringing all the different areas, not just your Microsoft Cloud, but all your different areas of your infrastructure together. So you have a central point there.